stuff. Is that what this is?
The reboot or the revisit of the old Mondasian Cybermen in Series 10 of Doctor Who when Capaldi finished his reign. So this is where it started. They wanted them to look like the old retro Cybermen, of course, but they can't precisely because if I directly lifted that old Cyberman and put it in the new show, it would actually look pretty awful. It's like it's got sellotape stuck to it and it's too clunky. So it fell to me to update it. And as usual, they didn't decide anything till the last minute, so I had to throw together a model really quickly to take to a meeting to try and get them to approve it. So this is the first model I made of the revisit of the Cybermen. And it's very crude, and it's got a helmet I just lashed together. It's got like bits of drain sink units in the top of his head, and bits of things that I found, just like some pipe brackets around there. And I sort of simplified this really quickly because it was all done the night before we had to have the meeting to clear the designs. So that's how this started the journey. This is the Photoshop clean-up of it, where I decided that we didn't want to see the eyes. So this is where it went to next. And this they approved, this they liked, and we went forward. There was lots of other spectacular Cybermen designs presented, but they didn't. They just wanted to go like old faithfuls and keep it like the original. That was again something that was proposed. That was something I lashed up the night before. I just chopped up a voice changer helmet for the top here, put some more flooring onto his face. It's got a Borg's kind of look, isn't it? And they wanted to update into this sort of maybe translucent thing, so this new stuff going on. But like, no, we just found this nice old silver latex that just did the job. It felt like an old spacesuit, and it looked nice and it looked organic. So this was not the way forward either. So I had worked on Cybermen. In fact, I wanted to work on a Doctor Who monster prop. I'd worked on dinosaurs in a spaceship, and I did like Triceratops that was there, and that was on a Doctor Who monster, but not like a classic monster. And then I was doing some internals for some of their belts. I've got some fluid drip that all the chest units will go through. For my very crude prototype helmets, I give it to great model makers who will then do a surprise for anybody. So this was the press. He was doing this to try to get his coat to swish out. First meeting. Again, I thought those episodes were really good, and I was very pleased to be there. It was really emotional stuff. So that was a very pleasing episode in my career, I'd say. I think for a lot of people. Side involvements, I did that for Matt Smith before this. That was quite a cool episode. Other parts from similar episodes, cyber parts going on. It's all a pleasure to do. I think, is that it for the Cybermen? Very cool. Now after that I became a bit addicted to Cybermen because they're so fun to build. In fact, cyborgs in general are great fun, it's like what parts flesh, what parts human. So I had to, in my spare time, like I have any, make really get So this is our standard stuff. This is what the body suits look like. This is like the skin mummy. Looks great, and that is just the base to be dressed. So once we've got that turned out in foam latex, bandages across that, and just that fun with all those textures. He was a favourite. His like completely face was missing, and we had a little mechanical jaw on it, so his jaw was closing like that. But again, Stephen didn't want to use any of those practical things, so he never got seen working. All my designs, I was like fully designing the live action movies. Chopped all the faces off the models and put them into the cartouche model, so they survived. That's all our different characters that were done as live action suits. Close up the painted suit before being bandaged. Very nice on set, do a good black and white. And they really got into it, and there was mimes, again, better, that were trying to do spidery movements and make the best of it. And you know, that's all good and standard stuff. But in the script, other things, so we had plenty to do, one of which was called the Impulse Lab. And the mummy returns, he has to break out of this thing. So I art directed that. We have a clear canopy on it, animatronic, twisted inside, and came to life. That is not Egypt, that is a quarry up the A5. Sometime at night, very cold. And we got it all up there, looked magnificent, and all the people are acting. And one of the riggers went, "Oh, it looks like a big bogey." Thanks very much. Sweat over a thing.
I think it's
what we
pretty
have to deal with
impressive.
on a daily basis. And the problem is, it actually does look a bit accurate.
It's a very impressive one.
Thanks. Big, impressive big bogey.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it. You can see him inside there. So I was directing the artist to do that artwork. That's just with an angle point behind it. So I've got a nice translucency in the wall there. That was the day when he was breaking out, as we were on set. And there's a big circle of followers praying around it. And that's higher up than it looks, so it's sort of almost ceiling height. And there was a bit where we had the canopy on, where the director suddenly decided he wanted the canopy to look a bit more misty. So with everything set up, the cameras up on the gantry, everybody waiting, I had to get up a step ladder, balance on a step ladder with an airbrush and an air can, like that. And I'm like, and all the priests were like watching and everyone's watching. And I had to gently mist this canopy like that and just thought, don't fuck it up. And I was like, I had to have it icy, because one spray I would have had to have cleaned it. It would have been terrible. So I'm like, nerves of steel. But I got away with it. I didn't fall off the ladder and I didn't mess it up. That's the invoice up inside it. The director had a weird idea where he put his hand through his own head like that. So why not? I also had pygmy mummies to deal with. They were going to be CG, but I had to do a lighting standing to put on the set so they could photograph that and help them with the CG. So again, lots of commitments. There's the next one is painted up. There he is. That's pygmy mummy. And I was also trying to get, the boss was encouraging me to draw and paint, although I wasn't one of the designers for the other characters. So we were trying to get hold of some Anubis warrior stuff. One of my efforts. Pre-Photoshop, just with brushes and acrylic. I still like to do. Didn't go for that, went for standard sort of Anubis looking monsters. But then I did that, and he had written out the special mummies, the soldier warrior mummies. But then when he saw that, he said, "Oh, I'm going to put these back in the film." I was like, "Oh, that's quite exciting," and I feel like I've contributed something. I mean, they're a lot more exciting, they've got their sinews and they're magical, they can walk the walls, so that ups the ante quite a bit. But there's no money for it, so you'd have to make 10 new suits for the stuntmen to work with for no more money. But the boss was so good with contingencies and pants, he said, "We can go for this if you like." Because the alternative was just trying to dress up the crumbly priests as the warriors, and I just couldn't see it. I can see he's got a much more aggressive look to him. He's angry all the time. And even the helmet I sculpted to match that forward slant of the face, to give it that forward speed and thrust. That's a prototype helmet. They're made out of leather. A younger lieutenant, and the other one is an older leader. But then Besson said, "No, they're all the same, just like crocodiles, so don't give them any individual identities." That is from Flintstones. The garbage disposal under the sink. New garbage disposal! So someone else did a thinner one. That's another labyrinth creature. That is for a museum. It's another walk-around puppet where you pretend you're holding a living baby dinosaur. That's a scope for that.
Oh.
That was for an Iranian splitting image thing, and I had to sculpt their staff. And I have to sculpt the Ayatollah Khomeini as well, so I'm surprised I hadn't been knocked off signing up. So hopefully they don't print where I live. When I'm going to put it online, I used to go, maybe I won't. Maybe not. Someone's going to get offended somewhere. There he is.
Oh, there's more.
I got no flattering. I'm in the shop with it, so I'm out. There he is, Ayatollah. That's the death puppet again. That's using live hands through the puppet, like so. A bit of makeup on the nails and you've got it. That's the storyteller's dog. Before it gets all his shaggy hair on. That's the puppet painted. Now, Labyrinth, worm in the Labyrinth. I didn't realise that this was going to be so famous that everyone knows this thing. And of all the things I've done in 40 years, everyone goes, "You did the worm on Labyrinth." It's like, yeah, but I'm not sure what I did. It's like, no, but you did the worm on Labyrinth. Yes, fine. Some of my comrades do that as well. Didn't you do the worm on Labyrinth? Shut up. Yeah, there was a hand puppet version, not that big, for close-ups, with mechanisms, and the little size one with a tiny little jaw mechanism, so that was life-size. Hello? Hello? Come and get a cup of tea. Is that a lot?
Yep, that's all.
Fantastic. Some of the bodysuits.
Oh, bodysuits.
Do that. Yeah, that's her twin of the Ice Warriors. That is actually my favourite thing in my career. And she turned out so nice, and she was so good in it in movements. And the only thing, sometimes you go, I wish that had worked out better, or I know what I could have done differently. You know, you're not satisfied with it completely. But she turned out well, and I'm like, I'm taking that this one time. It's an ugly styled thing. There was an earlier Henson version that's very friendly, but this was not very friendly about this at all. Version, crazy growths. It was all like crazy, random, weird growth. Things. That was getting closer, running through. One of his arms I wanted to keep human, so he could kind of touch and you could feel that human side of a Minotaur. But in the end, he just went full galloping, four legs side. Painting I did of that thing. He said, horns bigger, please. Much bigger horns.
Yes.
So that is a scale model that would take to a meeting, and it's about so big. And the director can pick it up, and it's not on the computer, so you can just look underneath and get views and get a sense of its reality. There's the full-size sculpture.
How long did that take to make?
That was only a couple of weeks, but I was really motoring. I'm quite quick on my own. And I had a guy helping, but he said these things just like lumps to me. Most of them, I had to get rid of them. So that's not how I think. So I put this tension through everything, this starving tension, so it looks like he's like, sprung and in pain. Detail. But I knew it was all going to be in the dark, so I could get away with things. A bit more theatrical, a bit less detail this time. It was all about the broad shapes, the muscles and the sinews. So there's the molding process. Very, very sinewy. Everything under tension. In the molding process, you need to split with clay and take the roll sections off in separate halves and separate sections. Everything gets split into pieces like this. So that is a laborious process. Silicon goes onto that. fiberglass onto that and split again. So you get the fiberglass shell support, the silicon, and the silicon's recorded all the detail. So there's your mould. And the whole thing has to be treated that way. All the sections in fiberglass. It's quite a thing to get through, isn't it? And the skins have to be made out of all of this. Meanwhile, in another workshop, another set of guys are building the mechanisms. Shot with the detail, silicon inside fiberglass. There it is, turning up at my place. It's quite funny because it was like peeping over the garden fences. And that's how he got driven there. So you've got this high-speed monitor on the back. You can see the back legs are static. The front will fully move. The head is solid fiberglass because there's no expression except a big opening jaw. So the head was beautifully mobile. Did a great job. I'm going to set him up, get the tongue mechanism in, so he's getting a big sort of curling tongue in there too. He's got a set of wheels so it can be moved around easy. All his ribs and back are made rigid, and I had a rod inside which gave it a little ribs breathing as well. So we're doing the final touches artwork. I look a bit confused, but I'm not. I'm doing more. So he looks nice with his bits of wispy hair. He's quite pale because he's been in the dark for 7 years. See how big his horns are. Now, I always used to say that when you go to the video store and you get like a blockbuster out and you get like something that you don't know, like a monster. If they're showing a monster on the front cover, it's not going to be a good film, particularly. And there's my monster on the front of the cover of the things, and it isn't a very good film.
Oh, well. But there's Tom Hardy in it, so...
Yes, he is, and look at how Howard, before Tom Hardy is famous.
Yeah.
He was very good.
Oh. Must have been like in his 20s at the time or something. I mean, then years later he ended up in Venom, so... Oh dear, that's a shame. Oh my god.
On set, you can see his rig moving around. Look nice in that half light is quite good. You get to do that. So it was a great day on set. That was a fabulous thing. One of my best, most fun days on set, it's quite high pressure, where you've got a good day on set is when so many interesting things and so many interesting departments have come together. There's a bit on the Minotaur where this guy is skewered. So we've got the horn is split in half. We've planted it against his chest. He's on wires, so he's lifted up in the air, struggling. We've got another part of the horn punctured out the other side of him. And now Rick is like doing this with him. And I said to the actor, he said, I don't want to die a wimp. I said, well, hit the beast, it's fine. You won't hurt it. You know, struggle as much as you like. So he's thumping this thing, he's up in the air like that, and he fills his mouth full of blood and smoke around, and he goes, sprays blood in the air like that. And we got that shot, and I went, that was movie making. It was all going on. It was a good day, Some days it's not working, that's not a good day. Basilisk can be constantly wet down between all the shots. You always look kind of damp. So we did the live action Basilisk, step ladder body, big animatronics inside. Also did Aragon. They look quite creepy, he crawl out of this hole. He's got fiberglass body sections. He's got fully loads of mechanics inside, so all of his legs move. And there's like 10 operators doing individual legs, so all of his legs go. He's got another operator on slave necks where his mouth parts are moving. He didn't see this because they were quite nervous of showing things in the production of Harry Potter. But everything moved. It's quite nice. That's mouth interior for Basilisk. That's all I had to be sculpted separately.